All right, welcome to another episode of QA with SA. You guys know the rules. Submit any question via email, Facebook message, Instagram direct message. We'll try to answer it as best we can in a timely manner. I know it's been a little while since we've done this, but trust me, we've been incredibly busy. But yeah, fishing related, anything Lake Superior, inland, whatever. We don't know all the answers, but we're here to try to help you have more success on and off the water. What else have we been up to? Going on 70 hours of no sleep right now. Just got back from Canada. Left Duluth, drove, fished all day, came back, had to put stuff away. But tiring, but that's part of the game. So what else do we got going on? Superior Angling apparel, hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts. Visit us online, superiorangling.com/shop. 15% off all of our apparel items in the month of July. So head on over there and check those out. Hats are selling fast, but we just got some new inventory in. So take advantage of that. Where have we been fishing? We've been Houghton, Michigan, Mille Lacs, up past Thunder Bay in Canada. Lots of travel, lots of miles, lots of time, but right now you gotta make hay with the sunshine. So there's a lot of good fishing to be had around the Midwest. So let's see what we got for this week in terms of questions. First one from Larry. Nice job on your videos. Are there big coaster brook trout up by Nipigon? He actually sent this on Saturday, so it's kind of ironic that we went and caught a bunch of brookies yesterday. Also, what camera do you use in your underwater lines, and how long does the batteries last? So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna catch coaster brook trout, aka brook trout, aka speckled trout, kind of the same name for the same fish, or different names for the same fish, yeah, you got to head into Canadian waters. You're not going to target these fish in Minnesota or Wisconsin. There's just not a high enough population for them. So you do have to go into Ontario waters, whether you're fishing around Thunder Bay, around Black Bay, around Nipigon Bay, and even more to the east. There, you gotta fish up in that area. Lake Nipigon has a high population of them. The Nipigon River. But Lake Superior, that's where we caught ours yesterday, actually. So, yeah, a lot of good fishing up there. How big are they? Our average one yesterday was 23 inches, 23, 24. So I mean, they're good sized fish. They're big fish. So for a brook trout, that's a heck of a fish. What cameras do we use on our lines? Those are the Water Wolf cameras from Okuma makes those, I believe. How long do the batteries last? In like winter time, they don't last very long because the water's so cold. But summertime, when you have, I don't know, 50, 60 degree water, you'll get probably 3 to 4 hours out of a battery. So when we film, we have like 10 of the cameras or whatever. So we just swap them out. But you can charge them, just a USB charger. You can charge them on your boat and go again. So yeah, that's kind of the skinny on those cameras and brook trout fishing. So a couple other questions here from Sean. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the single hooks versus a treble hook? And also, do you ever use dipsy divers, and what are the snubbers for? So single hook versus treble hook. Those of you that have watched our content in the past know that I despise single hooks. I feel your hookup percentage is terrible. I know there's plenty of you guys that disagree with that statement, which is just fine, but my personal preference, I'm 100% treble hook all the way. I've just had horrible experiences with single hooks and fish getting off. So a lot of the spoons you buy stock from the stores will come with a single hook on them. I swap all those out, throw them away, put on a treble hook, because hookup ratio to me is a lot higher. It might just be how I fish, it might just be luck, I don't know, but it's a confidence thing in my mind. And I'll take confidence any day of the week, because that's a huge part in fishing and a huge part of your success. Do you use dipsy divers? I don't use dipsies very much. Dipsies are kind of made for trolling, obviously to get your baits deep, but made for trolling in like a basin area where the depth doesn't change. If you're fishing and you go from 40 feet to 20 feet or from 100 feet to 40 feet, like sudden depth changes, dipsies are going to be your worst nightmare because there's no quick way to change the depth on them. You have to set the hook and release them so they float up, and then you got to reset them. Just a pain in the butt. And when I trout fish, we fish a lot of structure areas. So I bet I own 1 or 2 dipsy divers that probably have an inch of dust on them. So they're not an important tool in my mind. You know, you got Lake Michigan salmon fishermen, you know, I mean, they're their #1 tool. But for me, the way I fish, we just don't use them that much. So, but those snubbers are for shock absorption. When you use dipsies, you want to use braided line. And when you get a king coming to hit your lure, you know, they hit so hard. If you didn't have that snubber there, a lot of times it might just break the line just because of sudden impact. So those snubbers are kind of like a shock absorber for when you do have a fish on. So yeah, that's kind of what else do we have here? We got, does one color outfish another when it comes to big baits or tubes when fishing for lake trout? Lake trout, you can never go wrong with white. White is day in and day out by far the best color. If a fish isn't going to bite on, or if a trout isn't going to bite on white, to me, it's not going to bite on any other color. So if I'm buying baits and tubes, if I have a limited budget or just want a few select items, white is the only way to go. Pink is probably the second best color in my mind, but I like white primarily, especially in Lake Superior. So you know, a lot of their bait fish are you know, somewhat silver or white in color. So their bellies are white, their sides are silver. So white is definitely the best way to go. And the last question from Randy is there a late fall bite shallow out of the Duluth area? It's kind of, you got to take into consideration the closure of the lake trout season. So early fall, yeah, there can be. You can get lake trout from shore. You know, guys catch them casting off the Lester River or even the French River because lake trout spawn in the fall. They move shallow. But Minnesota closes their lake trout season at the end of September. So if you're talking about later fall in October, you want to try October fishing. There's really not a whole lot of fishing going on Lake Superior and Minnesota waters. Wisconsin waters, yes, because you get your coho that come into the rivers to spawn in the fall time, and brown trout's really good fishing in the fall. So if you want to fish in October, you know, focus on Wisconsin waters or Michigan waters where, you know, Michigan, the lake trout season's open year round. So that's what I would focus on. If you want to fish Minnesota waters in the fall, you're gonna have to do it in September because there's really nothing going on in October because lake trout season's closed and we don't have any salmon up here. So yeah, that's kind of it. Some other things going on, fishing out of Duluth, the North Shore is starting to really pick up. Areas like Two Harbors and north of there. Silver Bay is going to be really good here in probably another week or so. A lot of salmon, everything's up on the surface. That water on Lake Superior is so cold right now. We just got back from a trip earlier today, and water temps were like 38 to 40 degrees still. I mean, it's just not warming up out there. So I left my my winter mittens at home, and I wish I would have had them because my hands were numb half the time out there. So water's still really cold along the North Shore and other places, and the fish are still really high. So last time out, we pulled a ton of lake trout and a couple salmon, but every single fish just came on 120 feet of mono and just like a jointed scatter wrap. So that gets down maybe 5 feet. So everything's way up high. The immediate Duluth area, the water's starting to clear up. It's gonna get better after the big rains we had, but that North Shore fishing is pretty hot. So yeah, that's it for this episode of QA with SA. Submit your questions later today or tomorrow, and we'll try to get another one out for you later this week. So thank you.